For millennia, a truth has been hidden in plain sight. Death is not an end, but an architecture, precise, deliberate, and ancient, through which the soul passes. It is not chaos, nor is it random. It is a design older than worlds, etched into the very blueprint of existence. Across cultures, in whispered myths and veiled scriptures, this design has been hinted at: the gates, the guardians, the paths of light and shadow that await beyond the final breath. You have been taught to see death as an abyss, yet it is a threshold, one that every being will cross. What waits there is not merely the product of belief, but the living structure of consciousness itself. This is the map few have seen in full, because to know it is to strip away the great illusion of mortality. Before we venture further into the unknown, take a conscious breath. If you feel a resonance with this pursuit of knowledge, consider joining our community by liking this video and subscribing. It helps this knowledge find those who are ready to receive it. Now, silence the distractions of the outside world. Center your awareness. Let us begin the journey inward. When the final heartbeat fades, there is a pause, not in time, but in perception. For the soul, the body's senses go dark, yet something else ignites, an inner seeing, as though a hidden eye has opened. The first sensation is weightlessness, followed by a subtle unmooring, like drifting free from a harbor into open waters. This is the crossing of the first threshold, and it comes with a strange recognition. You are no longer bound to the rules you thought defined you. In the Egyptian Book of the Dead, this moment was called the going forth by day. The soul, or Ba, rises from the flesh like a bird from its cage, guided by instinct toward a horizon that is not of the earth. Here, space and time behave like pliable threads, stretching, folding, collapsing. You may see loved ones long past, yet they seem both far and near. You may glimpse your body lying below, but with no longing to return. The Tibetans spoke of the bardo, a liminal field of awareness, fluid and unstable. Shapes emerge from thought itself, landscapes born from memory, beings drawn by resonance. This is where the untrained soul can falter. Without clarity, it drifts into illusions that bind it like veils. This is why, across civilizations, mystery schools prepared initiates for dying before you die, to rehearse the passage and recognize its illusions. In this first threshold, the senses you once knew dissolve, replaced by currents of vibration. Every thought becomes architecture. Every feeling becomes climate. If fear takes hold, the surrounding realm contracts and darkens, echoing that frequency. If love prevails, the horizon opens into radiant landscapes. Here, what has been suppressed in modern teachings is that this threshold is malleable. Religious and political powers once encoded the truth in symbols, but discouraged direct experience, ensuring the masses would enter unprepared. By controlling the narrative of the afterlife, they controlled the living. For those who fear death are easily led. The ancient initiates knew that mastery of this stage meant sovereignty of the soul. A subtle pull begins. Some describe it as a current, others as a call. This is the architecture at work, drawing the soul toward the next chamber in the grand design. But one truth remains constant. The first threshold is both a test and a mirror. Those who awaken here can shape the rest of their passage. Those who sleep will be carried by forces they cannot see. And so, the journey moves onward as the veil thins and the second realm begins to rise in the soul's perception, a place where light weighs truth and truth weighs the soul. The pull through the threshold resolves into a great stillness, a hall without walls, without floor, without sky, yet luminous in all directions. It is not space as you knew it, but an expanse of consciousness shaped to resemble a place of judgment. Across millennia, cultures have described this chamber with uncanny consistency, though clothed in their own symbols. In Egypt, it was the Hall of Maat, where the heart of the deceased was weighed against the feather of truth. In Tibet, it was the encounter with the Lord of Death, who held a mirror reflecting all deeds. In Mesopotamia, it was the court of Ereshkigal, where the soul stood naked before divine scrutiny. You stand, though here standing is not with legs, before a vast scale, balanced in perfect equilibrium. On one side, the essence of your heart, distilled not from the muscle that beat in your chest, but from the sum of your lived vibrations. On the other, the feather, the archetype, the ideal of perfect alignment with the cosmic order. The weighing is not ceremony, it is frequency recognition. The universe does not judge with anger or sentiment, it measures resonance. Every act, thought, and omission you ever generated carries a weight, a tone, a harmonic or dissonance. In the presence of this scale, no self-deception can survive. Masks disintegrate. Rationalizations collapse. You are not told the truth, you are shown it, directly, through the living echo of your own existence. Ancient esoteric schools taught that the heart's weight is not moral in the shallow sense, but vibrational in the eternal sense. Cruelty thickens and anchors the heart. Compassion refines and lightens it. This is why Maat's feather was not a symbol of morality, but of balance, the equilibrium between self and all life. Here lies a truth modern religion has obscured. The judgment is not imposed by a God external to you. It is generated from the pattern of your own being. The priests of empire recast it as divine punishment or reward, because fear binds the living more effectively than knowledge. The real power is that you are the author of your verdict, and that verdict is written with every breath you ever took. For some, the scale tips gently, and the passage onward opens like a calm tide. For others, the weight drags the soul toward denser realms, where lessons remain unfinished. The Egyptian texts spoke of Amit, the devourer, a being who consumed hearts too heavy for ascension. Yet this devouring was never annihilation. It was a return to denser cycles of embodiment until the resonance matched the feather. In the weighing, there is no hiding. Even the unspoken thoughts you held in solitude, the kindnesses you considered but never acted upon, the harm you caused without witness, they are all here. Yet there is also grace. The universe knows the arc of your becoming. One cruel moment does not define you any more than one act of charity redeems a lifetime of neglect. It is the overall harmonic that matters. Those who pass through lightly often speak of a sudden release, an unbinding from all heaviness, as though a great knot in their being unties itself. Those who do not may feel the space begin to constrict, a pull downward into the denser corridors of the architecture. The ancients warned, this is the moment when guides, true or false, may appear. Some will offer escape, some will tempt you with promises of shortcuts. The unprepared soul, still clinging to ego, may follow such figures into paths not meant for them, delaying the true journey. The prepared soul recognizes the weighing not as a trial to be avoided, but as the cleansing breath before entering deeper realms. And when the scale settles, when your resonance is known, the whole shifts. The luminous expanse becomes a moving expanse of shadowed light, rippling like water. You feel the current again, stronger now, carrying you toward a river you somehow recognize, though you have never seen it in waking life. The light of the judgment hall softens into a dim, silvery glow, and before you stretches a river, wide, slow-moving, and impossibly still at its surface, yet you sense a power beneath that could sweep away worlds. Its banks are neither of earth nor stone, but of shifting patterns, sometimes sand, sometimes crystal, sometimes the faces of strangers you once passed in life. This is the river between worlds, the ancient boundary no soul may bypass. Across cultures, it has many names. The Greeks called it Styx, the hateful. The Vaitarani of the Vedas was said to flow with blood and filth, for those bound by heavy karma. In Norse visions, the Gjöll, crossed by a bridge of shimmering gold, separated the living from the dead. All spoke of a crossing, and all knew it was not the water itself that barred the way, but the resonance of the traveler. The river is consciousness in its purest fluid form. To step into it unprepared is to be swept into currents of your own unresolved patterns. Some find themselves pulled back toward embodiment without understanding why, waking in new flesh with the crossing, only half remembered. Others, clear and balanced from the weighing, find the water parting around them like a veil. Ancient Egyptian tomb texts hinted that the ferry across was not always literal. The boatman, whether Charon with his coin or the Vedic guide who demanded offerings, was a cipher for the inner passage. Payment was not gold or ritual alone, but the currency of awareness. The coin in the mouth was the symbol of carrying conscious intent into the crossing. Those without it drifted, caught in the undertow of forgetfulness. Here, sound takes form. The river hums, not in the ear, but in the marrow of your being. Each soul hears it differently. Some hear a hymn, others a low, unending chord. The truth, suppressed in much of modern doctrine, is that this sound is your own frequency reflected back at you. If you can harmonize with it, the river becomes still beneath your feet. If you resist, the waters rise, and the current pulls you into eddies of your own making. There are ferrymen still, beings who manifest in forms your mind can trust, a robed elder, a familiar ancestor, a serene animal guide. But not all are what they seem. In the mystery traditions of the Aegean and the Indus, initiates were taught to recognize the false boatman, an entity who offers passage to realms of illusion, where the soul can linger for centuries, mistaking dream for liberation. Such realms are beautiful, but they are cages, designed to keep the soul from reaching the higher architecture. Those who see the river clearly know it is a mirror as much as a boundary. To cross it is to integrate the echoes of the life just left behind. Every regret, every attachment, every clinging thought rises to the surface here, like silt stirred from the riverbed. The prepared soul lets these fragments dissolve in the current, watching them fade as one watches clouds drift apart. The unprepared soul grasps at them and is dragged under. When you step, or are carried, into the waters, the sensation is not wetness, but saturation of awareness. Visions bloom around you, moments of your life, the faces of the dead, even glimpses of lives you have yet to live. It is here that time truly unravels. The river holds all currents at once, and to navigate it is to know that your journey is not a line but a spiral. And then, as the opposite bank nears, a change occurs. The mists rise, curling into shapes that seem familiar. You see not a shore, but a vast reflective structure ahead, a place where the river's mirror becomes the walls and floor themselves. This is where the current delivers you next, and where the architecture of the afterlife begins to turn inward. The Hall of Mirrors awaits. You emerge from the silver hush of the crossing into an expanse whose walls are made not of stone, but of seeing. At first, there is only a faint gleam, as though moonlight were trapped inside crystal. Then, with a breath that is not a breath, the space ignites, thousands of planes flowering outward like petals of polished obsidian, each surface catching and returning you from a different angle. This is the Hall of Mirrors, and its name is too small for what it is. The mirrors are alive. They are not glass. They are consciousness taking the shape of reflection. They do not show your face. They show the consequence of your being. You remember the feather's equilibrium and the river's hum. Those were measures of resonance. Here, resonance becomes image. Every act you performed, every word you uttered, every thought you rehearsed in the privacy of your skull stands forward from the mirrors as a scene woven of light. And not only scenes you defined as important, births, betrayals, vows, but the thread-like moments you forgot, a glance withheld, an impulse softened, a door held open for a stranger. All of it returns, not to accuse, but to reveal the architecture you built in the hidden chambers of time. Ancient Tibet described Yama, the Lord of Death, holding up a karmic mirror in which the departed beheld their lives as a vivid panorama. The Greek initiates of the Necromantian descended to chambers lined with dark, reflective vessels to speak with the dead through a rite of scrying. Egyptian priests in the House of Life taught that Thoth recorded every syllable of existence upon a luminous tablet, which the justified would read like a book of themselves. Across these traditions runs one current. The afterlife does not merely weigh, it reflects, and its reflection is pedagogy. In this chamber, you do not watch as a passive spectator. The mirrors breathe. When a scene rises, you feel its texture, your childhood room's dust-mote light, the taste of a winter orchard, the heat of an argument, the brittleness of a lie. You also feel what others felt in the same moment. This is the first unveiling. The hall expands your perception to include the interiors of those you touched. You are given their vantage. You feel the ache your words placed in a friend's chest a decade ago. You feel the sudden steadiness your smile gave a stranger on the edge of despair. This is neither punishment nor reward. It is the restoration of full context. Esoterically, the hall is proof of a deeper law. Consciousness is holographic. Like a hologram in which each fragment contains the whole image, every moment of your life contains the whole network of beings who intersected it. As above, so below is not poetry here. It is mechanics. Your smallest act carries the pattern of the whole cosmos, and the mirrors amplify this fact until you can no longer deny it. The geometry of the chamber, endless facets arranged in ratios that echo pentagon within dodecagon within sphere, functions like a resonant amplifier. It takes your personal waveform and diffracts it through the lattice of the all, returning to you the interference pattern you left upon existence. You will notice there is no judge in this place. There are only keepers, quiet figures at the periphery whose faces are veiled, whose presence stabilizes the chamber. In some cultures they appear as ancestors dressed in the grave cloths of their era, in others as priestesses crowned with lunar diadems, sometimes as winged beings whose feathers are inscribed with glyphs of sound. They do not speak unless you falter. If you attempt to flee a reflection, if you deny or distort, the mirrors cloud and the scene repeats with heightened clarity. If you open fully, if you allow grief to be grief and tenderness to be tenderness, the scene softens, integrates, and dissolves like a completed chord. There is a secret here, one that institutions have historically obscured. The hall is the original form of confession, and before empires turned confession into surveillance, externalizing it into booths and priestly intermediaries, the mystery schools prepared the soul to perform this inner sacrament directly. To confess, in the ancient sense, was to know with confiteri, to bring your limited self into concord with the whole. By relocating confession outside the self, power structures ensured dependency. The hall was trivialized into metaphor, the mirrors dismissed as superstition, so that the living would never learn the sovereign art of self-reckoning. You will see a pattern as the reflections unfold. First come the scenes charged by strong emotion. Then subtler waves arrive, moments that seemed insignificant, now luminous with consequence. At last, the mirrors show omissions, the words you did not say, the courage you did not summon, the kindness you withheld, because you thought it too small to matter. In the holographic law, omission is not empty. It is an active vector shaping the field. The universe is altered as much by the bridges you refuse to build as by the ones you crossed. At times, the hall turns paradoxical. A single moment appears in two contradictory forms, once as you experienced it, once as another did. How can both be true? Because truth in consciousness is not a single line, it is a braid. Your intention, braided with their reception, creates a compound event, and the mirrors let you hold both strands at once. If you open to this simultaneity, compassion arises naturally, not as a moral achievement, but as perception correcting itself. You cannot remain harsh with yourself or others once you have felt the interior weather of their storms. Second esoteric principle becomes visible. coherence. When your intentions, words, and actions aligned, the mirror scene coheres into a geometry of light, hexagonal lattices, spirals within spirals, accompanied by a music you somehow remember, though you never heard it with ears. When you lived in contradiction, saying love while feeding resentment, the images fracture. You see jagged geometries and hear detuned chords that never resolve. Coherence is not perfection, it is sincerity sustained. The whole trains the soul to recognize coherence by feel, because what comes next requires that recognition. One more suppressed teaching. The whole can be entered during life. Prophets, sages, and ordinary people who learned the art of interior stillness discovered that the mirrors respond to humble attention. In temples from Thebes to Eleusis, initiates sat before bowls of dark water, not to conjure spirits, but to look until the surface returned their resonance. Psychomantium chambers, stone rooms with a single reflective aperture, were instruments to rehearse the afterlife review. This was deemed dangerous knowledge by rulers who preferred subjects to fear their end. A populace trained in self-reckoning is hard to govern by terror, so the right was buried under ridicule, and the living forgot the room they were guaranteed to enter. And yet, the hall is merciful beyond measure. When a reflection breaks you open, when you see a wound you caused, and the shame hits like a wave, the mirrors do not freeze you in that failure. They show the counterfactual, the path you could have walked. You watch yourself turn back to apologize. You feel the warmth of reconciliation. You see how that one repair would have radiated outward, altering events you never connected to it. The purpose is not to torture you with what-ifs, but to awaken your faculty of creative correction. You cannot change the past on the earthside timeline, but in the subtle body of your being, you can choose the pattern you will carry forward. The hall allows you to compose a vow with the weight of physics behind it. You emerge into a vastness that feels both architectural and alive, a space so immense it cannot be measured, yet every line and angle seems deliberate, as though drawn by a hand that knew geometry not as abstraction, but as the bones of reality itself. This is the realm of the architects of passage, the guides and gatekeepers who stand between the soul and its next horizon. They appear differently to each traveler. To some, they are robed figures radiating a soft, unearthly light. To others, they are ancestors in familiar garb. For yet others, they are ancestors in familiar garb. For yet others, they are beings of pure pattern, forms made of intersecting spirals or crystalline lattices. What unites them is a sense of authority without domination, presence without intrusion. You know, without being told, that they have been here long before your arrival and will remain long after. In the traditions of Egypt, these were the Netjeru, divine intelligences who ferried the justified through the skyways of the Duat. In the Greco-Roman mysteries, they were psychopompoi, soul guides like Hermes or Mercury, moving freely between realms. The shamanic traditions of Siberia, the Amazon, and the Sami spoke of animal forms, eagles, wolves, dolphins, who were not mere totems but conscious beings, tasked with ensuring the soul's safe transit. And yet, there is a suppressed truth. Not all who meet you here are benevolent. Ancient initiates were warned of the counterfeit guides, entities who wear the shape of what you trust, but who serve the gravity of lower realms. These are not mythic demons. They are currents of consciousness that feed upon attachment, drawing the unprepared soul into recursive dream loops or false heavens. Once caught there, a soul can linger for ages, believing itself free, while slowly being assimilated into the host pattern. The true architects of passage carry a signature you cannot mistake once you feel it: coherence. Their presence harmonizes with the note you found in the Hall of Mirrors. Standing before them, you feel the same resonance in your field, as if they are tuning forks, sounding the pitch of your original being. The false guides, however convincing their form, produce a subtle dissonance, an almost imperceptible tug toward fear, flattery, or urgency. The trained soul knows to pause, listen for the tone, and choose accordingly. Historically, the knowledge of discerning these beings was guarded within initiatory systems. In the Eleusinian mysteries, the neophyte was guided through a symbolic death and shown both the luminous guide and its shadow double to learn the difference. In the Egyptian priesthood, candidates memorized sequences of true names that aligned their frequency with the rightful guides. These methods were later buried or distorted, for a populace that could navigate the afterlife unaided could not be controlled through fear of damnation. When you align with the true architects, they begin to shape your passage. The chamber around you is mutable, responsive to their gestures. They may draw symbols in the air that become doorways, or strike the floor so that concentric patterns radiate outward, each ring opening into another realm. In some cases, they may lead you directly. In others, they will only point, requiring you to walk alone. This is by design. Each step you take here inscribes your soul's path in the subtle architecture, and no guide, however luminous, can walk it for you without altering its truth. One of the most profound moments occurs when the architects reveal the map of your journey. It is not a scroll or book, but a three-dimensional mandala that turns slowly in the air. Each segment of the pattern corresponds to a stage you have passed, each color and geometry a record of your choices. There are threads that lead upward into luminous zones, threads that loop back toward embodiment, and threads that vanish into the ineffable. The architects will not tell you which is best. They will only ensure you see all paths available to your resonance. It is here you may also meet the intercessors, beings who offer to adjust your path by taking on part of your burden, or by lending you their strength. In Christian mysticism, these appeared as saints or angels, in Buddhist texts, as bodhisattvas who vow to remain in the cycle until all beings are free. The existence of such intercessors has been downplayed in modern teachings, not because they do not exist, but because acknowledging them threatens the idea that salvation must be mediated solely through institutional authority. The choice of whether to accept such aid is pivotal. In the higher metaphysics, accepting help binds you in reciprocity. You will one day be called to offer the same to another. Refusing it is not punished, but it closes certain doors that may not open again until another cycle. When the exchange is complete, whether guidance, protection, or simple acknowledgement, the architects lead you to the edge of their domain. Before you lies a threshold, unlike any before, a place not of reflection, not of judgment, but of creation itself. You sense vibration ahead, tones layered upon tones, like the overtone series of a great cosmic instrument. And faintly, through the harmonics, you see light bending into form, arches, spires, domes, and avenues woven entirely of sound and geometry. This is the city of resonance, where the architecture of the afterlife becomes visible as luminous habitation, and where your frequency will determine the shape of your dwelling. The architects stop here, for beyond this point, only your own harmonic can open the gates. Before you, the light condenses into form, yet form that breathes, shifts, and sings. Towers spiral upward, their walls woven of vibrating filaments that shimmer with colors you have no names for. Bridges arc across open space without support, sustained only by the harmonic tension of their own geometry. This is the city of resonance, and it is not merely a place, it is a chord, an architectural symphony that your soul must be in tune with to enter. The gates are not guarded in the usual sense. Instead, an archway of interlocking patterns, some akin to the flower of life, others to crystalline snowflakes, stands before you. The moment you approach, your entire being begins to hum. If your frequency aligns with the city's chord, the archway blossoms open. If you are dissonant, it remains closed, the patterns folding inward like a flower turning from night. In Sufi mysticism, this realm was hinted at in the imagery of the emerald cities of Jannat, said to be built upon the Dhikr, the remembrance of the divine name. In Tibetan visions, it was Zangdok Palri, the copper-colored mountain palace, suspended in space and resonating with mantra. In Pythagorean schools, it was the harmonia mundi, the music of the spheres given visible shape. These were not poetic inventions, but encoded memories of a shared reality in the architecture beyond death. As you step forward, the space around you changes with each breath. The streets beneath your feet are made of intersecting waves of light. Walking them feels like moving through the strings of an immense instrument, each step plucking a note that joins the city's eternal symphony. Walls are translucent, and within them you see patterns unfolding like living mandalas, geometries so intricate they seem to think. This is because they do think. In the city of resonance, structures are conscious, their intelligence expressed through proportion, color, and tone. The ancients knew that sound creates form, what we call cymatics today. A bowl of water, vibrating to a single note, forms ripples. Sand on a metal plate arranges itself into precise patterns when exposed to frequency. What is hidden in modern science is that this principle operates on the soul's scale. Your emotional and spiritual frequency shapes the architecture around you after death. The city of resonance is proof, and it is also a test. Here, the dwellings are not assigned, they are attracted. Your field calls to a specific district whose harmonic matches your own. Those whose resonance is coherent find themselves in open plazas where the air is suffused with light, where fountains sing and each drop of water forms a perfect sphere before merging into the stream. Those whose resonance is tangled may find narrower streets, dimmer tones, structures that seem to lean in close as though listening to the unresolved chords within them. Suppressed in the public telling is that this city is not heaven in the moralistic sense. It is a university. The architecture itself teaches, retuning you through exposure to its proportions. A plaza built on the golden ratio draws you into balance simply by standing within it. A tower whose windows are set at the intervals of a perfect fifth will cause your inner voice to harmonize with its tones when you speak. Even the gardens are tuned. Flowers unfold in sequences that resonate with planetary cycles, adjusting your rhythm to cosmic time. Guides here take subtler forms than in the previous realm. They may appear as robed figures who speak in tones rather than words, or as beams of light that trace patterns across the air, leaving you to decipher their meaning. Sometimes, your guide is not a being at all, but a sound, an instrument you follow through winding streets until it leads you to a chamber designed specifically for your frequency. Inside, you may find a single note resonating, waiting for you to match it. When you do, the note changes, and you understand you have passed a gate within a gate. Historically, fragments of this knowledge slipped into the world through sacred architecture. Gothic cathedrals, with their ribbed vaults and rose windows, were attempts to recreate aspects of the city of resonance on Earth, teaching the soul to vibrate upward even while alive. Likewise, certain Hindu temples were built to exact mathematical ratios that, when chanted within, would induce altered states aligned with this afterlife realm. Over centuries, these principles were stripped from public awareness, reduced to aesthetic flourishes rather than functional gateways. The most startling revelation comes when you realize that every being you meet here is luminous in proportion to their resonance. You may see an old adversary shining with clarity, their former shadows burned away by learning, or a beloved whose light is gentler than you recall, because they still carry patterns to resolve. The city is not a fixed reward, but a living measure of each soul's current harmonic state. At the city's center lies the harmonic spire, a tower that seems to pierce not just the sky, but multiple dimensions at once. It emits no light, yet everything in the city is illuminated by it. The spire's tone is the root note of the entire realm. Those who are drawn to it and can approach without dissonance are said to be ready for the next passage, into the library beyond time, where the architecture ceases to be external and becomes the record of all that ever was. You feel it now, a gentle pull from the spire, as though the note it sings is one you have always known. Around you, the city hums in acknowledgement. The streets begin to bend toward a single avenue, guiding you not by force, but by the inevitability of resonance meeting its source. The spire's sound gathers into a filament that threads through your chest and draws you inward, not toward height, but toward depth. Depth so complete that it becomes circumference. Depth that opens like a pupil, dilating to reveal the hidden star behind the eye. Passing through the spire is not travel, it is recognition. Your field resolves into a single clear tone, and the world around you changes from streets and towers to a horizonless expanse of living syllables, each one a bead of light, each bead a memory, each memory a world. You have entered the library beyond time. No shelves, no dust, no corners. The library is alive. Strata of light text drift like galaxies, intersecting at angles that are also harmonies. You sense a breathing intelligence in the way the lines curve and the way the curves sing. To look is to read. To read is to remember. Here, knowledge is not consumed, it is inhabited. You do not open a book, the book opens you. Ancient names flicker across your awareness, as if old teachers nod from behind the veils. Thoth, whom the Egyptians called the measurer of the heavens, inventor of writing, keeper of the divine words that make and unmake worlds. The Sumerian tablet of destinies, held in the hands of Enlil and wrested by storm and cunning, a stone whose inscriptions conferred the right to order reality. The Vedic Akasha, the luminous field in which all forms arise and into which they return, the very memory of the cosmos. The Quranic Lawh Mahfuz, the preserved tablet upon which all things are written. The Buddhist Alaya Vijnana, the storehouse consciousness whose seeds erupt into lifetimes. These were not competing myths, they were regional dialects for this same place, encoded so the worthy might remember while the unready passed them by. You ask, wordlessly, what, exactly, is written here? In answer, the light around you condenses, forming a plane the size of a door. Sigils, neither letters nor images, rise upon it like dew condensing into glyphs. You recognize them without translation, the way a dream conveys meaning without a single word. They are the vector sums of lived moments, that day in childhood when you chose to courageously tell the truth, the winter you closed your heart and learned later how to thaw it, the kindness you meant to give and did not, the melody you carried through a decade like a private prayer. The record does not accuse. It is. Each glyph is a chord that, when touched, opens into a full sensate world, and you slip briefly into scenes that are more real than their original occurrence, because they are now unmasked of your forgetfulness. The first great law of this library comes clear. Nothing is lost. Forgetting belongs to bodies and brains. The field keeps perfect account, not as an accountant of sins, but as a gardener of seeds. Every intention planted, every act watered or starved, appears here as a living pattern. Some seeds lie dormant for centuries, held in the cool, necessary dark until the right light calls them to break. Some seeds tangle with others, hybridizing into strange fruits that were never your conscious design. And some flowers reveal themselves as perennial, virtues and vices you have carried through many lives like instruments you know well enough to play without thinking. You feel movement at the edges of perception and realize you are not alone. Scribes gather, not hooded, nor robed, but clothed in the same light text that composes the shelves of infinity. They are not beings in the way the architects were. They are functions of the library wearing faces so you can bear their nearness. Some appear as women with eyes like deep wells, some as men whose hands leave trails of tiny constellations when they gesture, some as children whose laughter resolves into algorithmic lattices that rearrange the space. Where they stand, the script brightens. Where they kneel, new lines are inscribed. One draws near and extends a palm. Upon it, a circle appears, woven of your own tone from the spire, and around the circle unfold 12 smaller rings, each marked by a distinct hue and meter. You understand without being told. These are your chapters, not of a single life, but of an arc, epochs of identity your soul has worn. The chapters are not consecutive, they are simultaneous from the library's vantage. Time here is a tapestry, not a road. Pull one thread and watch a figure on the other side of the cloth alter its shape. The scribe shows you the law that governs this, probability as mercy. The library does not bind you to a single timeline. It preserves all viable trajectories as options, held in trust by the field until consciousness chooses. This is the suppressed knowledge. The book of life is not a dead ledger with an unalterable verdict. It is a living document written in reversible ink. Power structures taught the opposite, immutability, so you would inhabit fate rather than authorship. Armies march more obediently beneath a sky said to be sealed. But the initiates knew and whispered, "What is written can be re-read. What is re-read can be re-sung. What is re-sung can be remade." The emerald tablet framed it as transmutation. The Avatamsaka framed it as Indra's net, where a change in one jewel changes the reflections in all. The second great law dawns with the weight of certainty. Access is governed by resonance, not by entitlement. You do not read the whole library at once because your field would shatter under the voltage. You read what you are coherent enough to withstand. This is why humility, devotion, and discipline, as much as brilliance, have always been passwords. Not because a jealous deity guards the stacks, but because love aligns the geometry of a soul until it can touch archetypal fire without burning. Mystery schools hid this under ritual to keep the unready from rashly forcing open doors that would overwhelm their nervous systems and fracture their lives across too many half-seen worlds. The scribe leads you into a chamber whose walls are a slow aurora of shifting script. At its center rests a pedestal of nothing, out of which grows a codex of pure light. When you place your hands upon it, the pages do not turn. You turn. You become porous to an ocean of knowns. Lives flicker, some that seem yours, some that seem impossible. A woman standing on a wind-scoured plateau, lifting a bowl of milk to the morning star. A craftsman in Alexandria inscribing ratios in the margins of a banned text by night. A singer weaving grief into lullabies in a tongue without consonants. The common feeling under them all, a specific tenderness for what is fragile and luminous in the world, and a fierce refusal to profane it. You realize, this is your signature purpose, recurring under countless masks. Here the library offers not only record, but remedy. Patterns of harm appear as knots in the script, tangles where lines cross too many times without resolution. The scribe indicates them the way a healer might touch a point near the heart. You feel choice gather like thunder. The remedy is not erasure, it is recomposition. You select a knot, the betrayal that taught you to distrust, the moment you looked away when courage was called, and you sing into it the tone you learned in the Hall of Mirrors, the coherent note that represented sincerity sustained. The knot loosens, and the script around it rearranges into a more consonant geometry. Somewhere in the worlds of time, a descendant moment brightens. The library does not change the past as bodies measured it, but it alters the interference patterns flowing forward, gifting future selves a path with fewer stones. This is absolution not as decree but as physics. You ask, again without speech, how this knowledge flows to the living. The scribes smile in the way mountains do when the sun returns. They show you aisles of luminous conduits descending like rain into the waking world. Dreams that feel too real, sudden knowings that arrive while washing dishes, visions in the margins of prayer, pages a scholar happens to find when searching for something else, music that seems remembered the first time it is heard. The library has always whispered through these apertures. That is why tyrants have burned libraries. They are attacking not paper, but the symbol of this place. Why literacy was once restricted. Reading trains the inner eye to track meaning across time. Why oracles were silenced and ecstatic women demonized. an unmediated line to the preserved tablet, threatens any throne built on the story that only priests can speak for God. The corridor opens, and you glimpse rooms where others study. Souls whose fields glow with colors like dawn and deep sea, the thinkers, healers, artisans, and saints of many eras, bend over codices that sing to their touch. Near them, novices sit with smaller texts, learning first to listen before they ask. A far gallery thunders softly with the work of the archivists of seeds, who gather still warm moments from the living, a doctor's impossible intuition, a teenager's decision to step back from an edge and call a friend, a mother forgiving a father who never learned to love himself. These are shelved, not by topic, but by frequency, so that when a future soul seeks courage, it can stand in the aisle where courage hums and be tuned by proximity. In a quiet alcove hangs an instrument that is not an instrument, a lattice of strings that are also rays that are also roads. The scribe gestures, and you understand. This is your fate harp, a map of branching trajectories available to your present coherence. Pluck a string and feel the taste of the road it sings, a life of service in obscurity, clean as cold water, a life of renown that tests humility every hour, a life of solitude where books and wind are your only companions, and yet the world is changed by the pages you leave behind. None is forced. All are true. You hear a teaching under the overtones. The right choice is the one you can love without lying. Remember the city's lesson: structures teach. Here the library shapes you into someone who can hold truth without flinching and possibility without grasping. The scribe returns with a final offering, a small, simple tablet the size of your two hands. Its surface holds only a single character, luminous as a coal at the heart of a fire. You recognize it as your current name, the secret resonance you carry beneath the masks of personality and history. Taking it is a vow to remember. Refusing it is permitted. Forgetting is always an option in worlds where free will is the engine of learning. But if you take it, you agree that, within the next veil, when the wind goes cold and the world grows loud, you will touch your chest and say inwardly the shape of this sound, and the library will answer across the distance. There is one more hidden thread to draw. The library does not merely store what has been. It contains the prototypes of what could be, blueprints suspended in the field for sciences not yet born, arts not yet imagined, kindnesses not yet common. Visionaries brush these shelves in sleep and wake convinced they have invented something. In truth, they have remembered forward. Institutions that fear uncontrollable leaps call this heresy or madness. But the scribes keep tending the prototypes, like gardeners, protect seedlings from frost, until a generation appears whose resonance can host them. The spire's tone returns, faint but insistent, like a bell calling you from the cloister to the open air. The scribes bow, not to you as a self, but to the pattern that wears you. The light text thins, not as dismissal, but as a veil parting for a new dawn. You feel the pull toward a final threshold, one the library both prepares and cannot cross with you, the gate of return or dissolution, where all this knowledge becomes decision, and decision becomes destiny. You look once more at the tablet in your hands. Its character steadies your field like a compass returns to north. The scribe speaks at last, and the words are music. What you know is what you are. What you are is what you will choose. Carry the tone. The shelves breathe. The script brightens. The corridor opens into an unbounded light that is not an ending but a choice shaped like a door. The light beyond the library is not a corridor, but a horizon, and it curves inward the way a shell curls around its own music. As you move, you feel the tone you have carried, the one tuned in the Hall of Mirrors, affirmed by the architects, harmonized in the city, and clarified in the stacks, gather into a single, focused ray. It threads through your center and meets a convergence ahead, where three structures slowly resolve out of radiance, a spiral descending into the weave of time, a bridge arcing into a tiered firmament, and a sea of living fire that seems to be everywhere and nowhere at once. This is the gate of return or dissolution, and its geometry is older than myth. No sentry bars your way. Instead, forces you yourself have set into motion return to greet you. Vows rise like constellations and stand over the spiral, promises you made when the world was loud and you were mortal, oaths to protect, to learn, to repair. Near the bridge, other beings gather, the intercessors whose tones you borrowed, the lives you touched that now call you upward into service. And over the sea, there is only a pressureless love, as if the entire cosmos were an exhale inviting you to release even the story of yourself. The Orphic initiates left thin gold tablets, lamellae folded into the mouths of the dead, instructing them at a fork in the underworld. Do not drink from the pool of forgetfulness, drink instead from memory, and declare, I am a child of earth and starry heaven, but of heaven is my race. This was not arrogance, it was navigation. At this very juncture, memory is freedom. Forgetfulness returns you blindly to the wheel. Remembrance lets you choose your vector with the lucidity you have earned. Later powers recast this guidance as pagan superstition, because a populace that chooses its return on purpose cannot be managed by narratives of blind fate. 3 options stand before you, though in truth they are not options like doors in a game. They are harmonics of the same chord. The first is return, reincarnation, descent back into the tangles of time. The spiral does not drop like a trapdoor. It draws like a seed pod, opens to earth. You see futures unspooling as filaments, lives in which you repair the harm you mapped in the hall, lives in which you apprentice to a craft whose prototype you touched in the library, lives in which you love those you once could not love because your hands and heart are steadier now. The Tibetans called this choosing of womb doors, an art the Bardo Thodol teaches. Do not be seduced by certain colors, recognize the deceptive lights of passion and anger, and follow the cool, clear light that matches your true tone. Stripped of symbol, the instruction is simple. Enter where your coherence can grow. The second is ascent, service in realms of rarefied resonance, the bridge leading not out of the world, but into subtler strata of it. Here the bodhisattva vow becomes literal. I will not culminate until the last trace of suffering has been soothed. In Christian mysticism, this is the communion of saints. In Sufi language, Baka, subsistence in God after fana, the annihilation of separateness. To choose the bridge is to agree to be architecture for others, to become a tone in the city that invites the lost toward home, to serve as a scribe's hand or an architect's glance until your reciprocity is fulfilled. Institutions have often honored this in name yet kept its method hidden, insisting only ordained intermediaries could mediate grace. The suppressed truth is that every coherent soul is an ordinal point in a lattice of mercy. The third is dissolution, merging into the source, the sea that is not a sea. The geometry here is not Euclidean. It feels like a torus turning inside out, a fountain that is also a well. To step into it is to let go not of love, but of the center that says I. The Upanishadic formula, Tat Tivam Asi, thou art, that ceases to be a line in a text and becomes a topological fact. You do not fade. You expand past the concept of edge. Awareness no longer locates itself. There is only the knowing that knows itself. Those who return from near this perimeter speak in mangled metaphors about light and mothers and sons because language breaks under the weight of it. Here the danger is not pain but counterfeit. A sterile void that mimics emptiness without love, a false nirvana that numbs instead of liberates. Some currents feed on souls lulled into that snow silence. You learned in Section 5 how to hear dissonance. That discernment saves many here. True dissolution sings the root of all songs. If there is no music, turn back. Forces shape your decision beyond preference. Resonance is sovereign. If the tone you carry contains dense knots, the spiral will sing louder, not as punishment but as gravity. If you made reciprocal vows, the bridge will ring with the names of those who wait. If your field is transparent and your love unboundaried, the sea will seem less like an option and more like the only truthful movement left. There are also cycles, the great breaths of ages. In certain epochs, descents are needed; in others, the subtle realms call for reinforcement. The Hermetic phrase, as above, so below, is a logistics plan at this scale. You may ask whether there is counsel. There is, but it comes without coercion. An ancestor may appear, reminding you of a lineage you promised to carry. A figure of light may touch your brow, showing you a child in a small apartment 2 decades hence who will need exactly your laugh to survive a winter. The library may send a last ripple, a page of your fate harp humming, brightening a string you overlooked. None of this compels you. It reveals you. The decision is a mirror in motion. There is a deeper law that modernity has starved from public thought. Choice here is not made with thought. It is made with being. Consider how the hall trained you to feel coherence, how the city entrained you to harmonic proportion, how the library taught you to hold possibility without clutching. Each was a rehearsal for this juncture. You do not debate doors. You hold your tone steady until the door that is already you opens on its own. The most precise instruction ever given at this gate came disguised as a prayer, not my will, but thine. Strip away the anthropomorphism, and it reads, not the small vector, but the larger pattern of love. Still, one piece of suppressed knowledge must be spoken clearly. Many cultures once cultivated lucid dying, a curriculum for meeting this gate consciously. The Eleusinian rites, the Tibetan Phawa, transference of consciousness, the Desert Father's art of the good death, even certain strands of Taoist inner alchemy, each trained citizens, not just clerics, to recognize counterfeit voids, to remember vows, to choose womb doors, to ascend without pride, to dissolve without nihilism. These practices were outlawed, ridiculed, or locked behind classes because a lucid populace is difficult to terrify and easy to love. The result has been generations arriving here half asleep, easy prey for false ferrymen and glittering cages. You are awake. That changes everything. The gate waits. The spiral breathes like a shell. The bridge hums like a held note. The sea shines like the inside of a name you have almost remembered since childhood. You consider return and see a woman on a wind-scoured plateau lifting a bowl of milk to the morning star, and you realize you have been her and will be her again if you choose. You look to ascent and see a city of light that needs another quiet tone braided through its avenues to help new ones find their way. You gaze at dissolution and feel your edges soften until there is only the sweetness without circumference. You recall the feather, and your heart feels as transparent as air. You recall the river, and its hum is inside your blood. You recall the mirrors, and you do not flinch. You recall the architects and bow, the city and smile, the library, and place your hand over the small tablet whose single character glows once more. The choice is not academic. It is intimate. It is the shape love wants to take next through you. If you choose the spiral, know this: you are not going back. You are going through. Memory will thin, but it will not snap. The scribes promised, touch your chest and the character will answer. The hall will be with you in every apology you finally make. The city will echo in every room you arrange with care. The architects will move your feet when you have to leave what is killing you and don't yet believe you can. If you take the bridge, know this: you will become a geometry others can lean against. You will be the voice that says, drink from memory, disguised as a song at dusk, a stranger's kindness on the day someone was going to break. You will not be seen, often, but the lattice of worlds will be stronger in the places where you stood. If you step into the sea, know this: you do not vanish. You become the river that will carry those you loved when they are tired. You become the feather that will weigh the hearts you once held in your hands, and you will be gentle because you will remember what it is to be small and afraid. You will return, but as rainfall, not as person. And one day, perhaps, as person again, because even the source delights in form. The gate does not close. It sings your name back to you until your name chooses itself. The movement that follows is simple and absolute, like a bell answering a bell. Slowly, the architecture you have walked unfolds into a single, luminous pattern. The feather's balance was your first lesson in resonance. The river taught you that currents obey the tone you carry. The mirrors revealed the holographic nature of consequence and the medicine of coherence. The architects showed you how to discern the authentic from the counterfeit by listening for the note beneath appearances. The city tuned you with proportion until structure itself became a teacher. The library gave you memory without shame and possibility without grasping, placing a small, bright tablet in your palm, inscribed with the sound of your true name. And at the gate, you discovered that choice is not selected but embodied, that love decides and the world obeys. You are not a passenger in a machine. You are a musician in a symphony whose score writes itself as you learn to hear. The suppressed secret, hiding in plain sight within cathedrals and mantras and lullabies, is that death is the highest classroom of life, and life the rehearsal for the lucid passage. Every breath can be a micro-weighing, every conversation a mirror, every home a little city of resonance, every book a leaf from the preserved tablet, every decision a rehearsal for the gate. When you remember this, fear loosens. When fear loosens, cruelty loses its root. When cruelty loses its root, the architecture changes for everyone. So take one conscious breath now. Touch your chest where the character glows. Feel the line from your heart to the spire, from the spire to the library, from the library to a city you have not yet seen but already know, because it hums at the same pitch as kindness. Whether you return, ascend, or dissolve, the law holds. What you know is what you are. What you are is what you choose. What you choose becomes a door for others. The map is in you. The passage is open. The gate is singing. The knowledge is now yours. What will you do with it?